Welcome to Hazoret the Fervent, and I choose you. Happy Valentine's. As far as opening hand goes, we've got Mana Vault. I'm going to keep on this one. It's kind of, yeah, I guess we're going to keep on it. A little clunky. We've got a lot of double red, and then hopefully we get lucky and hitting some land drop. Man, I've had a ton of bad luck trying to record Hazoret today. Let's get down mountain. Let's go for Mana Vault, and then hopefully we can power out a pretty quick Scab Clan Berserker. That might kind of help us get some damage done on our opponent, and then we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yes, welcome to Hazoret the Fervent, and happy Valentine's. Hope you're having a good day today. We're playing Hazoret the Fervent, indestructible in haste. Whenever Hazoret can attack or block unless you have one or fewer cards in your hand. Then for a 3-mana activation, discard a card. Hazoret deals 2 damage to each opponent. We're playing its Grand Arbiter, the Fart Monster. White spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Blue spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Then spells your opponent's cast cost 1 more. Alright, so we got the Mana Vault trigger. We're going to click no on this one because it is untapped. And we are good, and we're going to be able to get in for a really nice Scab Clan Berserker. Not going to pay for that. Let's get down. There we go. Oh, we hit the land. I feel a lot better about this hand now. Let's go for Scab Clan Berserker. Yeah, and we'll have to untap it here in a little bit, but I like getting in for this renown damage. Yeah, because Scab Clan Berserker, if you get this down, it's always a really nice feeling. All right, so we're going to kind of miss out on some of that mana. Let's go and swing in for 2. Get the renown trigger. That's going to put them down to 28, and that's going to basically put them in a position to where whenever they cast a non-creature spell, it's going to deal 2 damage to that opponent. So it's really going to set the tone for them. Hopefully, it's going to allow us to kind of fight some of this the taxing effects from Grand Arbiter himself. Let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. If you're in the market to get into Commander, Legacy, or Modern, they are definitely your source to pick out. And then also hit up inkedgaming.com if you're in the market for a custom playmat. Use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off your order and help out the channel at the same time. So I'm not going to pay for Mana Vault's trigger. It's going to be 1 damage, and we draw into another mountain. Okay, that is good. It feels good to hit some of these lands. We'll go for Sanitarium. And I think at this point, I kind of like keeping up this onslaught. So let's go for Ash's Zealot. And I love Ash Zealot because I got that one of my first Ravnica drafts on Magic Online. And it was the foil version, so I always remember that because of the full version. So let's go and swing in for 5. That's going to put them down to 21. And then next turn, we're actually almost getting in the position to where we might end up being able to go for Hazoret right off that. And also we're getting to the points where we can get some good mana to untap Mana Vault. So, but yeah, as far as this deck goes, this kind of inadvertently became my Valentine's deck last year. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to record, and I felt there was no better way than to build a mono red deck. And I don't know, I just felt like Hazoret would be the perfect choose you commander for the deck. So that's kind of where that came from. I've always enjoyed that little Valentine from The Simpsons. And opponent's going to go for Chrome Mox. Okay, it's going to be a little extra 2 damage up there. But you can definitely see where if you get down Scab Clan Berserker, if you can just get that renown trigger on it, it's such a good feeling because that's such a taxing effect on your opponent, dealing that 2 damage on basically anything. You know, they're going to go for Chrome Mox to get a little bit ahead. Might be seeing a board wipe from our opponent, and if that's the case, that's perfectly fine. That'll open us up for Hazoret. But playing Hazoret, it's always a really unique commander to play because it's one of the few decks where you're actively trying to get rid of cards out of your hand. Not going to pay for Mana Vault, and you know, cards like Firestorm certainly allow us to do that, which is just a very unique card. I think I've gotten, and plus I love the art on it. It's such a wild looking art too. All right, so we're gonna have that Mana Vault trigger. It's gonna deal 1 damage to us. We'll get down the mountain, and I think we end up going Prophetic Flame Speaker. Yeah, that's going to be good. So let's go for Flame Speaker. And just in case our opponent has some sort of random... Okay, they don't have any sort of action. Let's go and swing in for 5. That's going to knock them down to 14. And it's going to put them down, and then next turn that's going to put us on. If we want to, we can actually end up going for Firestorm just to get it out of our hand, and that'll kind of clear the way for Hazoret. And we'll kind of do a little bit of combat math to see what we've got going on our side. So let's say we end up going for Firestorm. That's going to put our opponent down to 13. We end up swinging in for 5 or 3. That's going to put them down to 10, 8, and then that's going to put them down to 6, and Hazoret's going to put them all the way down to 1. Ooh. Okay, they're actually going to go for Pull from Tomorrow. That's going to be 2 damage, puts them down to 12. Yeah, I think we just kind of risk it for Hazoret. It's going to choose our one opponent. We're going to pay 1 red mana, discard 1 red card. And that's going to put them down to 11, and that will allow them to draw 3 more cards. But at least that's going to clear the way for us to kind of swing in with Hazoret. So let's see what we can, hopefully we can do something pretty good off of this. All right, and our opponent did end up discarding a Return to Dusk, which is, that's always a nice feeling we have to get rid of that. So basically, the only thing that's really going to hurt us at this point right now would be some sort of board wipe. Outside of that, we have a pretty sizable board state developed at this point right now. Prophetic Flamespeaker, which I absolutely love this card, Double Strike and Trample. And it is a little heavy with that double red, but if you're ever building some sort of Voltron deck, getting Prophetic Flamespeaker down with that Double Strike and Trample is one of the best feelings in Magic, especially if you get Sword of Feast and Fame. Oh no, we're going to see Meddling Mage come down. Okay, that's not the end of the world. We can still end up swinging in with Prophetic and this entire crew and still be really, really taxing our opponent's life total. Okay, see on the Mana Vault trigger, we could tap out for that, but if we just rip into a burn spell, that's something we definitely might want to end up using for our opponent's life total. So let's see what we draw for the turn. And if it's not anything good, we might end up going for Mana Vault next turn. Alright, so we run into Mountain. That's going to be 1 damage. And let's go ahead and push in on our opponent. And we're going to go ahead and leave this mountain in our hand because we might end up going for a Gaia Reach Sanitarium. So let's go ahead and swing in with all the creatures. We're going to be able to get in with Scab Clan Berserker. That's going to be a 3/3. We're going to have First Strike, which is going to be able to stop Chris Pakula. And then we also have Prophetic Flamespeaker, which is going to be double. Now, whatever deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of our library and we get to play it this turn. So they're kind of stuck in a weird place. If they end up going for Ash Zealot, that's going to be a chump block, but if we get the Prophetic Flamespeaker to connect on one of these hits, that'll definitely... Alright, so they're going to end up going for that. I definitely see why they would opt to choose to block on that. Alright, so they're going to get rid of Meddling Mage. And I think at this point, while the coast is clear, or at least semi-clear, we're just going to end up going for Hazoret. Yeah, I think I like that. So let's get down Hazoret. And I think at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go and hold on to this mountain because we need to have 1 or less cards in our hand. We can always make the land drop for next turn, and that'll kind of put us in a position where we might end up being able to go for this activated ability, 3 mana, discard a card, deal 2 damage to target player. But yeah, with this Firestorm, I've always enjoyed the art on it. It's just such it reminds me of Mirage art. And I forget, there was one game I recorded with Hazoret where we ended up discarding ended up being like a total board wipe because you have to discard, if you're going to deal 1 damage, you discard 1 card. If you're going to do 5 damage to 5 creatures, you discard 5 cards. But I think we ended up discarding like 6 cards, and that was such a good feeling. All right, opponent's going to scoop it up on this one. The Hazoret train, Choo Choo Choose You, is definitely going to choose Grand Arbiter on this one. So if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to Hazoret the Fervent, and I choose you. Happy Valentine's. As far as our opening hand goes, yeah, I like this. We can keep on this one. We just recorded, well, actually I didn't record the game, but I just played against the Gitrog earlier. And let's lead off of Valakut. And we had a Mana Crypt into Fire Diamond into Grim Lavamancer on turn 1, and then I had a active Sword of Feast and Famine with Grim Lavamancer swinging in on turn 2, and our opponent scooped it up. But to be perfectly honest, I don't blame them. So hopefully this is going to be a little bit more of a fair game. As you can tell, we don't have Mana Crypt on the battlefield. Let's get down Mountain, and then anything else, no, we're going to pass the turn. We're playing Hazoret the Fervent. Indestructible and haste whenever Hazoret can't attack or block unless you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand. Then for a 3-mana activation, discard a card. Hazoret deals 2 damage to each opponent. We're playing against the Gitrog monster himself, Death Touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Gitrog monster unless you sacrifice a land. Then you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Then whenever 1 more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you may draw a card. So nice. Let's get down Mountain. Very nice of you, Gitrog. And I guess we go Chandra. Yeah, I kind of like that. Let's go Chandra. This is going to be 1, 2, 3. We could go Ash Zealot to kind of start pushing in. Well, in fact, we'll go for that next turn. But I really like getting into the position where we might be able to get Chandra to flip. Okay, so we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. If you're looking to play Commander, Modern, Legacy, Cube, there's a Chaos draft going on Magic Online right now. Be sure to check out MTGOTraders. They will certainly have you covered. And also, shout out to inkedgaming.com if you're in the market for a custom playmat. Be sure to head over to that website and use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off your order and go back to help the channel out. So, I have a Big Lebowski playmat that I got made from them, and I love it. It's... I feel kind of funny because that's always my pre-release playmat, and I brought it to a pre-release, and I didn't realize I was wearing a Big Lebowski shirt, and my opponent goes, "Oh, so you must really like the Big Lebowski," and I was like, "Yeah, I do." I didn't even realize I knew I put on a Lebowski shirt, but it just felt like I was like, "Yeah, you got me." Alright, so opponent's going to get down, go Gary Rock Farm, and then go for Vampiric Tutor. And we're not going to see what they grab off of that, but kind of see what's in store for us. Now, as far as Chandra goes, and actually it is officially free time, so we can talk about it wherever we want, and that's going to be Chandra. Whenever you cast a red spell, untap Chandra, and she deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. If she's dealt 3 or more damage this turn, exile her, and then we get her to flip into a planeswalker. So if we want to kind of set some stuff up, we do definitely need to hit at least 1 more red source to kind of get her to be 1 damage, red spell, tap again. So we can kind of set some stuff up, but it would definitely make it a lot easier if we could find some sort of mana rock, because even then, once we get down Pyromancer's Goggles, that'll allow us to really start getting a ton of spells on the battlefield with Pyromancer's Goggles. It feels so good to get down this artifact, and we'll definitely be dealing some damage. So let's see what we're drawn to. Drawn to Young Pyromancer. So I guess we can actually put the Pyromancer Goggles on Young Pyromancer. That'd be pretty cool. Do we want to push in with Chandra, just straight up just deal 1 damage? That'll be us getting in for 2. Yeah, I think we just go ahead and push. Well, actually, we go Young Pyromancer. So we deal 1 damage up top. That's going to put them down to 28. And then we go, yeah, I kind of want to go Young Pyromancer. We've got Exquisite Firecraft in here, and that's going to be 4 damage to any target. Unfortunately, that's going to whiff on a Gitrog monster, but we can still at least have an active Chandra for next turn. Okay, anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn. So we're definitely going to hope that, well, actually, we're just going to swing in for 2. That'll be pretty good. Yeah, so we got in for 1 point of damage, casting Young Pyromancer with the untap, and they're going to be swinging in for 2. And we'll see the plant token jump in the way of Chandra. I'm sure that plant token would probably catch on fire pretty quick. Now, as far as this deck goes, I don't play it too much. This is kind of unofficially became my Valentine's deck last year. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to record, and I was like, well, Hazoret, and I really enjoy the Choo Choo Choose You from The Simpsons. So I was like, all right, just make Hazoret the Choo 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 train. But as far as this deck goes, playing Hazoret, it's always a really interesting deck to play, because you're really actively trying to exhaust every single card out of your hand. That way you just have this 4 mana, 5/4 indestructible with haste. It just feels so good. Ooh. Opponent went for Acid Moss. They're going to be able to destroy our mount, so that's definitely going to cut us back on mana. Well, hopefully we see if we can't run into another land drop. That does put us in a position where we can just basically just swing in with Ash's Zealot, but that does allow them to kind of get a little bit ahead on mana. So let's see what we run into for turn 3 in Dynamo. Okay, let's go Ash's Zealot. And actually, we're going to tap down Chandra, deal 1 damage. Have her untap, and we'll still be dealing some more damage swinging across with the entire crew on this one. And that's one of the downsides. We do have some pretty good draw spells in here, so hopefully we can run into something to push past that land destruction from our opponent. So we're swinging in for 6. That's going to knock them down to 20, and then we'll go and pass the turn. So now they definitely online for a Gitrog monster this turn. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that'll be just enough, and if they get down Gitrog, that'll be a few more land drops. Really, about the only way we can maybe kind of stabilize against Gitrog is if we can somehow maybe get a little bit of extra creatures on the battlefield and go for this Blasphemous Act with us sitting at 2 lands, or simply just running into Mana Crypt, and that'd allow us to get down Thran Dynamo. But as far as emptying your hand, there's actually some pretty cool cards in here. We have Gus's Scepter, exile a card from your hand for an activated ability, and then we can activate it to return it. But that's another way to kind of just get cards out of our hand. There's also Ignorant Bliss, which is a 2 mana instant speed. Exile your hand, and you have no cards in your hand. Basically, it puts you at Hellbent, and then you get to draw a card at the next end step, I think. But that's also a great way to, if we have some pretty good stuff in the hand, we can use that Ignorant Bliss to exile cards out of our hand and then end up getting Hazoret onto the battlefield. But we'll see what's in store for us. Opponent did get down an Ancient Tomb, so they're at least online for equipping Uazama's Jitte onto the Gitrog monster himself. Now, if we get Chandra to flip, that's going to be the +1, 2 damage to target player planeswalker, -2, 2 damage to target creature. Then we get the -7, 6 damage to each opponent, and then the beginning of upkeep, this deals 3 damage to you. So, oh man, look at that Mana Crypt into Soul Ring. This is brutal. They're going to get down Jitte too. Now, if we run into the land drop, we'll see what we can get for the turn, but if we don't hit a land drop, we might end up scooping up on this one, because this is going to be really hard for us to come back. Alright, so we do run into Rogue's Passage. So we get down Rogue's Passage. I guess really the only way is to end up going for Exquisite Firecraft, because we deal 1 damage up top. Let's go ahead and push him with Young Pyromancer and Ash's Zealot. What we're trying to do is basically just keep Gitrog off the battlefield at this point. We might see him block on one of these creatures, and our opponent, well, actually, no, I was thinking they might sniff something from a mile away with us swinging in, but yeah, they're going to block on Young Pyromancer. Unfortunately, we're going to miss out on the token from Young Pyromancer, but the main thing is we're going to get that damage dealt, which is going to matter. Okay, so they will end up getting the charge counters onto Uazama's Jitte. Let's go for Exquisite Firecraft on Gitrog. That'll allow us to untap Chandra. And basically, at this point right now, if they want to go for any sort of activations with Uazama's Jitte, they certainly can. They can grab Chandra before she flips, and they also go for Ash Zealot. So we'll just see, yep, they're going to go for that, probably before she untaps for another point of damage that we can deal up top. Okay, poor Chandra. Thank you. We tried to get you to flip, but we're going to at least use the Exquisite Firecraft to still end up sealing the deal on Gitrog, and that'll send him back to the command zone. So our opponent is sitting at 15, so if these Mana Crypt triggers kind of go our way, maybe they tap down Ancient Tomb to get him down. It's not over. We're not going to lose the game, but, you know, they just did take a Mana Crypt trigger hit, so we might be able to sequence some things. But when you're staring down a battlefield with Ash Zealot and the Gitrog monster, it's not that good of a feeling. If we do end up hitting the land, that will be Thran Dynamo, so that'll kind of be our way to kind of bounce back from this. We do have Grafted Skullcap in the hand. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card, then we get rid of our hand, and this is something that I perfectly don't mind getting down. Just getting some sort of extra card flow into our hand would really kind of help us attack our opponent's life total, since they are sitting at 10. I'm trying to remember what sort of life gain. If there's some sort of dredge card you could be running for life gain, so if they do run into something like that, that would really kind of attack the life total that we've kind of hit on our opponent, but we'll see what they end up getting down. Yeah, now if they end up going for the Sapseep Forest, for 1 green mana activation, they can gain a life, but you have to have 2 or more green permanents. And so basically that's going to be, yeah, they have 1 green permanent with the Gitrog monsters. They have to get at least 1 more thing down before they can go for that. Do we hit the land? We do not. We run into Banefire. Okay. We cannot get down Hazoret. Man, that Acid Moss was just brutal. I guess we just go and pass the turn. The only downside is we could try to swing in with Ash Zealot, and maybe our opponent doesn't block, but if we just sit back, that's going to put them on Uazama's Jitte. Yeah, I guess we just sit back on this one. We just don't take a hit from the Gitrog monster, and then kind of keep our fingers crossed. You know, like I mentioned, if we hit the lane drop, that'll put us on Banefire for a pretty good chunk of damage, and if we can somehow sequence it up with Young Pyromancer's Goggles, or if we can just wait it out for these Mana Crypt triggers, which I'm perfectly fine with doing that after we got our land blown up, because we just need take a little bit, but we need about 3 triggers to go our way, and that might allow us to kind of stabilize. But yeah, outside of the getting rid of cards out of our hand, this deck, you know, it's kind of basically mono red. We do have a couple different spells in here that allow us to very cheaply cast some burn spells. I think it's the what is it? The 6 mana spell. I can see the little goblin on there, but you sacrifice 2 goblins. Not 2 goblins. You sacrifice 2 mountains. It's going to be, I think, 4 damage that we get to deal. Opponent's going to go for Raven's Crime. And I guess at this point, if we're playing to our outs, we probably need to get rid of... Because actually, I can see us with Grafted Skullclap getting some extra card draw. I think we just get rid of Blasphemous Act at this point right now. They're going to be able to swing with Jitte. We'll probably end up blocking with Ash Zealot if we're trying to go on the Mana Crypt game plan and close the game out that way. And even if we can just get a couple... Let's see, sacrifice it. Okay, let's just sacrifice draw a card for 1 dredge. And hopefully we can just stabilize at some point. And, you know, like I mentioned, get a couple Mana Crypt triggers. Other than some of the cool stuff in here, I did add Sword of Feast and Famine in here. That was something we didn't have in here before. You know, being able to get down Sword of Feast and Famine with Hazoret, we have a lot of instant speed burn spells. So being able to tap out with some mana for a burn spell is always a really good feeling. Okay, so we're going to go Ash Zealot block on the Gitrog monster. That's going to give him Uazama's Jitte counters, but then at the same time, that's probably what they're going to use it for anyway. So we might as well just go and save that 6 points of damage on our life total. And that does put them down to 8. So... Come on, land drop. If we can get that land drop, get down Thran Dynamo, go for Young Pyromancer, that'll be, we'll be in a pretty good position, because they are looking at 10 coming across, and we'll see if we can survive the onslaught. All right, so we draw into Grim Lavamancer. Ugh, this is brutal. So we go for Banefire. It's going to be for 2. They're just going to straight up go for Grim Lavamancer if we end up getting that down with Jitte, but I guess it's better than getting some extra damage. So, you know, let's get down Grim Lavamancer, because what they can do is they can go for that +2, and that'll definitely attack our life total. So we're going to get this down, and then we'll go and pass the turn over to our opponent, and pray to the magic gods that this mana crypt goes our way. All right, so they end up going for the Jitte trigger. That at least basically just gets rid of that +2/+2. So let's see what this mana crypt trigger has for us. Oh, okay, so it's going to leave them at 8. They do end up getting the flip right. They're going to go for the forest this time to slowly start gaining some life, and we're looking at 10, 11, and that's going to be 13 with Bloodghast. So we've got about, yeah, it's going to be about a 3-turn clock. So even if we do end up hitting Thran Dynamo, I mean, it's not looking so good. If you're keeping score at home, you can definitely check the it's not looking good mark. Okay, that's going to put us down to 17. Let's just see if they end up tapping down that Ancient Tomb. All right, let's see what we draw into, and then we draw into Insult to Injury, which is not going to do much. It's going to be 6, 10. They got more than enough counters. Yeah, we're going to go and scoop it up on this one. Unfortunately, that Acid Moss got rid of our land, and we could have gotten some good stuff going, but that's going to get rid of the land destruction. That land destruction is going to keep us off it. So good game to our opponent, and if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.